And welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimesh Radia and I'm your host. I always love starting the podcast by saying thank you. This episode is the 199th episode. I'm recording this just after Christmas and I feel so very grateful for the podcast. So grateful for everyone that's listened, everyone that sends messages, and so many of my clients have come from this podcast. I was guided to it. We talk much more about the beginnings of this podcast in episode 200 when I'm with my co-host Stacey. And I'm looking forward to this conversation. So, quick intro for me: I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. And I love what I get to do. I get to guide people to truly be their authentic selves, release the programming, understand their gifts, understand their journey. I do that through Akashic record reading. I do that through Akashic training, as well as the spiritual mentoring program, which I love. What it does, it really kind of removes the layers and allows you to become authentic. And I really do feel like the shift that we're going through right now, and I'll talk more about it through this episode, is really about that. We are really going through so much of a shift, and so many people are kind of being awakened, kind of understanding that they're here to something different. And I love what I get to do. So today's episode is episode 199, and episode 200, which I'll release on Monday, is going to be with me and Stace. But I wanted to do an episode just with me. I haven't done an episode on my own for a while, and I just felt, just straight after Christmas, episode 199, I wanted to kind of share my thoughts on where we are right now energetically. You hear me on my own on the monthly Akashic message usually. Sometimes Stacey joins, but usually it's just me. That's a channel message, and that comes through the records. Most of the podcast episodes are channeled anyway. I don't script it. Whatever comes through comes through. But yeah, something in me wanted to share whatever's in my heart, and I felt this was a great time to do it. So today's episode is all going to be about embracing the unknown, preparing for new beginnings. Releasing this on Saturday 28th, just about to start a new year, and Canada New Year's and timing and all that is very much a human thing. But I do feel that we're entering into new times. And, I've talked a lot about what I feel about the energy right now. And for me, what I feel about the energy right now is we are going through a long transition. We have been for a couple of years. Actually, I feel like COVID lockdown, the first one, was kind of the beginning of this cycle. I know a lot of people went through a lot of things at the time, but overall, we were all being put in the same situation. I know some people had to work, but just generally, majority of people had to stay at home. And, for so many of us, we were saying things like, we don't have time to heal, we don't have time to meditate, things are so busy. It was a time where we actually had time to do those things if we chose to. So in some ways, I feel like it was Mother Nature's way of kind of giving us time to heal, sending us to the naughty corner and say, okay, you heal if you choose to. And some of us chose to heal, and some of us, it's part of it. And, who knows, right? Everyone's journey is unique and everyone made their own decisions. And again, I'm not, I know a lot of people went through some really deep things, and we lost a lot of people left this realm. But it just felt like the beginning of a massive shift. And then over the next few years, and including 2024, for me, 2024, every time I talk about it, I was always like saying the energy is intense. I guess there was an expectation that maybe the energy would not be as intense at some point. But really, 2024, the energy has been intense all year round. So many karmic closures, so many things shifting, and it has been an intense year. Everyone I talk to say it's been an intense year. For me personally, it was the year I left the corporate space and fully embraced my journey. So yes, it's a really pivotal year. Actually, I feel like I'm going to look back at it and think it's a good year. Feel it's a good year. That doesn't mean it hasn't been intense. But what is the energy right now? I feel like we're entering into a real phase of the unknown. I feel like for a lot of people, soul contracts have come to an end, friend circles have got smaller, relationships have ended. And not everybody can feel a shift happening inside them. Everybody wants to know what this shift is. You know, the human side of ourselves is really kind of getting frustrated because the human side wants to know, right? Likes to plan, likes to know, loves change, but as long as you know what the change is and you can plan for it. The spiritual side is excited because it can feel a shift that's happening inside us. So that's what, and I talk about it in previous episodes, that's what's causing the inner conflict is the unknown. And also the disconnect between the human and the spirit. The spirit is loving this time, has been preparing for this time for a long time. The human, you know, a lot of people say they love change, but do they really love change if it's unknown? So this is an uncomfortable feeling. It's just, you know, there's a shift coming. You can feel a shift coming, but you don't know what it is. And at the same time, there's such a massive shift happening on the planet. I feel like the planet's going to be in crisis for a couple of years, and you know, there's so much happening right now. So many wars, so many kind of big egos coming down. You know, so much crazy weather. I feel like the planet is going through a massive shift, and really, we have a choice of: do we allow the noise on the planet to consume us, or do we truly focus on the changes happening inside us? There's no right or wrong. Whichever you pick is right for you. And it doesn't mean you don't change and evolve and maybe switch from, you know, at some point do the inner work. But I would encourage you to truly focus on what's happening inside. And I'm not asking you to ignore what's happening on the outside world. You know, send love, do what you can to support, but don't do it at the expense of doing the inner work. You know, ask yourself, how do you really feel about what's happening inside you? How do you really feel about where you are? As I said, so many soul contracts have come to an end. But again, ask yourself, is there any souls in your life where your soul contract has come to an end? Is there any souls in your life where you can't be your authentic self? You have to adjust who you really are to be in that person's world. Then I challenge you for that, because this period in right now is really about you. You've gone through a rebirth, you've gone through a shift, you've gone through a change, and it's time to really get to know this version of you. And part of that is being conscious of what's around you. Who's in your life? Who's in your life that allows you to truly be? What are you watching? What are you feeding yourself? What are you reading? It really is a time to embrace self-care. And that really allows you to be present during this unknown period. I would highly encourage you to manage your expectations and let go of as many of your expectations as possible, because this is a period of unknown. But there's so much power in the unknown. You know, the uncertainty can really be a gateway of spiritual growth and transformation. The more you try and hold on to the old version of you, the more you try and hold on to the people that no longer serve you, where your soul contracts are done, the harder this period is going to be. And it really is about transformation. It really is about understanding that you've been through a rebirth. And what I mean by a rebirth is you've shifted completely inside. You've gone through massive changes, and it's like a new version of you is being born. So when you go through a rebirth, you've got to be careful. It's like being an infant. Be careful about, you know, what energies, vibrations around you. What are you teaching yourself? This is what I mean. It's like, think of yourself as that infant. And, you know, there's two ways you can go. You can get excited. You know, think, look at children. How excited do they get? And they don't have lots of expectations. Of what if you could become that child and really manage your expectations? So many people want to can feel a shift, and in some way, are waiting for some big epiphany, some big flash in the sky, where all of a sudden you'll understand your purpose in life, you understand your gifts. And for most of us, that isn't how it works. It's the small bits of magic, it's the small bits that lead to the massive awakening. But you can only appreciate the small bits of magic if you let go of your expectations. A lot of people say, I don't feel like I have guides, I can't see anything, I can't hear anything. But that's because a lot of people at least start with hearing and feeling things. So if you don't see things or hear things, then feel it. Trust in your intuition. But embrace the unknown. Get excited about what's coming. And so many of us try to fit in, lead a program life. What if you're not meant to fit in? What if you're meant to break the mold? What if you're here to do something different? Every soul that's listening to this, I can guarantee you, has a set of guides. And is here to do something. Everyone's role is just as important as everyone else's, so embrace it. Let go of the need to control. Trust your journey and embrace it. And I get it's easier for me to say these words, right? Because so many of us have been through so many things. And trusting your journey when you've been through so much can be hard. But know and understand that everything you're going through is part of your human experience as a soul. You're a soul having a human experience in so many ways. You've released so much karma by what you've been through. Know that everything that is for you will find you, and what's not won't. So what if you can truly trust whatever's coming next is magical? And don't limit yourself on how you receive messages, because messages can come in so many different ways. Yes, they can come through your intuition. They can come through a conversation with a friend, something you're watching, a song that you hear on the radio. Embrace everything. Yeah, I talked a lot about soul contracts coming to an end and everyone going through rebirths and so many people are changing careers, etc. But also know when something ends, it's also a beginning. So if you have supposedly lost a lot of friends, your friend circle may be smaller, what if you're creating space in your life for new beginnings, for new souls to come in? Because you have to create space, right? Nature abhors a vacuum, so you've got to create space for new souls. And for so many of us, like I was saying, soul contracts are coming to an end. But what does that mean? It also means that a lot of soul contracts are beginning. So what if you could get excited by that? So much talk about relationships in 2025 and how it's going to be a big year for relationships. Make sure you don't lose you in that. Make sure you make it a big and important priority for you to fall in love with you. Super critical. And release, and again, it's easy for me to say, but this is what I'm saying, release the fear of the unknown. Get excited by it. And part of getting excited by it is really having strong self-care, which has to put you at the center of your world. I talk a lot about this, right? I talk a lot about how our programming says that we should put everybody else first. It says that we should really kind of put our kids first, put our siblings first, put our parents first. And I'm not telling you not to make these people a priority. What I'm saying is when you make you a priority, your world changes. And actually, your light becomes so much brighter and you can help so many more people. So there's so many factors about putting you first. A big part of it is that when you put yourself first, one, you set a great example, but two, your light becomes so much brighter. You become so much more present for the people around you. And what I mean by putting you first is start with your self-care. What does that look like? Meditation, being with yourself, centering yourself, time in nature. I have some meditations on that save as podcast episodes. And I'm also planning to record one for 2025. So listen out for that. But also spend time with you. I always recommend 3 things when I start working with people. And I've recommended it for 25 years plus. I'm sharing my age there, but it's all good. And the 3 things are, one is 10 minutes silence. A lot of people say, I can't meditate. My mind's not quiet. But it's, you gotta do something. You know, they say repetition is mother skill. So you got to do something for a certain period of time for it to become a skill, for something that you can. So I always recommend for 21 days. Sit in silence for 10 minutes. And I'm not asking you not to think for 10 minutes. I didn't say that. If a thought comes in, let it come, let it go. Because again, what we do is we sit in silence. And then if we can't sit in silence, we get annoyed at ourselves. No, sit in silence. If a thought comes in, let it come, let it go. Let it come, let it go. Just breathe. If you do it for 21 days, what you'll find is your mind becomes more quiet, becomes more peaceful. That allows you to listen to your heart and your soul. And obviously, if you do it for longer than 21 days, the muscle keeps building. The other thing I'd recommend is mirror work. We spend so much time focusing on our physical body, going to the gym, getting frustrated about our weight and all the rest of it. But how much time do we truly focus on what's happening on the inside? And mirror work is a great way of doing that. Again, what I recommend is look into the mirror, look deep in through one eye, because you can't do both at the same time, and truly feel your vibration and energy inside and say whatever's in your heart. I always recommend starting with, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I love you. And again, do that for 21 days. Those first 2 practices are going to bring stuff up. And if you hold things inside you that you've been holding on to, then eventually that's where emotional frustration, anger comes from. You have to find a way of releasing it. The first 2 will help, the silence and the mirror work. But the third thing is journaling. Journaling is a great way of releasing the things. It's a spiritual activity. So I'd always recommend journaling and going deep on how you're feeling. But again, the other parts of journaling. So journaling, start with brain dumping. So kind of release everything you're holding on to, whatever you're feeling. But then you've got to replace it. And I always say replace it with intentional gratitude. So pick moments in your life where you're truly grateful for. You can definitely be general with your gratitude. I love my kids. I love the fact I got a roof over my head, whatever it may be. But if you can be intentional and you can be specific, it's so much more powerful. It's like I had a great conversation with so-and-so and it really felt great. I had a great drive home, whatever it may be. I went for a walk in nature. If you're more specific, what you're doing is you're grounding that memory as a magic moment. And then you're actually asking the universe for more of those moments. So try it. And then when you say, it's like you do brain dumping, you do the gratitude, and then pick some affirmations. You can Google affirmations or pick some affirmations around any area of your life. Go deep. There's so much more you can do with journaling. We've talked a lot about it through different episodes, but just those simple activities, doing those 3 things is a great way of releasing. Obviously, there's so much more breath work, yoga, Reiki, getting a massage book, spending time in nature, truly connecting with nature, in water, in barefoot on the grass. It's such a beautiful release. But make time for you. Do something for you, ideally on a daily basis. And do something you don't normally do, at least on a weekly basis. It's such a beautiful thing to do. And what you'll find is your energy and your vibration changes. Because what it allows you to do is it allows you to respond instead of reacting. I talk a lot also, Stacey did, about practicing the pause. When you do this self-care, actually you respond rather than reacting. And what's the difference? Reacting is primal. If you get attacked, you defend. But if you get triggered, if you react, then you're reacting from emotion. And normally what you're doing is you're probably making things worse. But when you respond, you're choosing to take a breath, you pause. And then what if you respond with love? What if you respond from a space of consciousness? And the silence and the journaling and the mirror work allows you to be present and to respond. through this time when so many people are going through so much change, it really is important to respond with love and to know that everybody's going through something. So allow yourself to just breathe and respond rather than react. Such a powerful tool. There's so many other tools. Pick what resonates. Go back in your life and really challenge yourself and ask yourself, what's worked for me in the past? Because so many of us do things that work for us, and then at some point you stop doing them. So what's worked for you in the past that's really lifted your vibration? I wasn't planning to do this, but at the end the episode, I'll do a quick grounding exercise that I do for all clients at the beginning of every episode. I'll do this at the end. It's a great way of connecting with the energies and vibrations around you and grounding you. It's always channeled, so it's never always the same, but whatever comes through, just to mention, I'll do this. I'll do that at the end. But it really is time to focus on you and to truly fall in love with you. Get to know you. Get to know your guides. And a good thing to do regularly is just stop and feel the energy and the vibration around you. Like I said, I'll do an exercise at the end. But if you can regularly stop and feel the energy and the vibration around you, that's a great way of starting to build the energy and connection with your guides, because you start to feel the energy around you. And know that when you're working with your guides, everything's a co-creation. Don't put them on a pedestal. They're getting to know you. Not all of them have had a human experience, so they need you to understand what you need from a human experience perspective. So build your connection with the guides. And when you do that, trust your intuition. I talk a lot about switching from I think to I feel. I think to I feel. So if you're trying to make a decision, instead of saying what do I think about this, change it to how do I feel? How do you feel about something? It's so powerful. And that's a beautiful way to really gain that inner guidance, to really get your intuitive muscles going. We all have, like I said earlier, we all have guides. And I really do believe that we're receiving more messages now than we ever have done before. So kind of use the energy, use your vibration to really listen to your intuition. Apologies for the cough. And when I say listen to your intuition, a lot of people ask is, well, what's the difference between my ego and my intuition? Messages that come from your guides, that come through your intuition, normally are in a lighter voice, softer voice. And normally the first thing that comes through when you ask, what do I feel about something? But your ego is heavy, and when your ego comes over the top, it's normally emotional, it's normally intense. So usually what I recommend is trust the first thing that comes through and take action on it. When you start to trust your intuition, what happens is you're building that muscle. So again, you start to trust your intuition, then all of a sudden you start to trust it more and more, and you get more and more messages. Because again, you're building the muscle. So doing the work, because so many people kind of want a quick fix. We're a soul having a human experience. You can't bypass the human experience. So the human experience includes things like inner child work, releasing karma, personal and ancestral, kind of going through rebirths, dark night of the soul. All of that stuff is part of your human experience. You can't bypass it. Your soul's here to experience certain things. I'll give you a quick overview of what I feel about soul contracts, and kind of your journey here is, I really believe that before we incarnate into our physical body, our soul knows what it needs to experience in this lifetime. So what it does, it looks for other souls to experience the major things that you're here to experience. So let's say you need to experience unconditional love and also heartbreak. Your soul will find another soul. And a lot of the time, this is why you feel connected to the souls that you deeply love, because you've got previous lives. So a lot of the time, it'd be a soul that you've interacted with before in a previous life. Not always, But then the two souls then have a soul contract. And which is why, a lot of people say, relationships are fated and destined and the rest of it. So then you have this soul contract. And, I always believe that, for example, kids pick the mum and the mum picks the dad as souls. So again, that's a soul contract. So in some ways, you did pick your parents. But again, the souls that you love or the souls that you pick are not always there to be loved, but they're always there to expand you. So your blood family may be there to expand you, but maybe not for you to love them. Who knows? But you pick all these soul contracts for the major experiences in your life. But obviously, if some of these souls are here to inflict pain, then when you come back in, when you come down into physical form, you're not going to remember it, because if you remembered it, why would you experience pain? This is where the veil of amnesia comes in. So the human programming kicks in and the veil kicks in. So you're not meant to remember what you're here to experience, but through your life, with wisdom and everything you experience, you start to understand your journey more and more. If you look back at the most painful experiences you've had and you really ask yourself, how did I grow from them? You'll start to realize that you actually grew a lot through your pain. This is where soul contracts come in. But sometimes a soul contract will come to an end, but we'll still stay in that relationship because it's familiar and because we don't want to change and we don't want to trust the unknown. But this is where the phrase that I use quite a lot, which is pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. The pain that we're here to experience, we're meant to experience it because we grow from it. But sometimes we stay in certain situations because it's familiar, and this is where the suffering comes in, and the suffering part is optional. And there is an element of free will. This is where I really believe that major things that are meant to happen in your life will kind of happen. But sometimes you can delay things by free will. Like if you stay in a relationship too long, when the soul contract's complete. But again, there's no right or wrong. You're a soul having a human experience. I'm going to give you an example of a soul contract. Through my journey, I've talked a lot about my journey on previous episodes. But part of what I experienced and part of my spiritual, I feel that spiritual awakening is a lifetime thing, but part of my kind of spiritual acceleration, let's call it, was, many years ago, I was doing really well in the corporate world. I was very mental, very focused. A friend at the time did some dark magic on me, and I had no clue that she did this. I wasn't really aware of the spiritual realm that much. And it made me, I was redundant for a couple of years. I was struggling financially. I nearly lost my home. And then I was led to a religious lady who said, somebody's done something to you. And I wasn't even there for me. I was there for somebody else. And as soon as she told me that, I got an image of what had been done. Long story short, the lady sent off to India, and they did a fire ceremony, and they sent me some of the ashes in a casket. I wore it, and it allowed me to move on. And actually, I wore it within 2 to 5 days. I got offered a new role and all the rest. So I was back in the corporate space for a while. But actually, more importantly, it opened me up spiritually. And I'm telling you all this because sometimes when I tell people this story, it's like, I wonder if somebody's done something to me, and you kind of get into that. Sometimes you do that because you're looking for a fix. But I now look back at that situation, and it was a dark 2 years. And at the time, I'm sure I was angry at the person, and of course, I don't want the person in my life, but I know that whatever I went through was a soul contract. I know that whatever I went through was there to expand me. Of course, in hindsight, it's easy to see that, right? I've been on such a journey since then. And actually, we talk a bit more about it on the episode I released on Monday. But that is what a expansive soul contract looks like. And our family, I talked about the blood family, are here to expand us. Yes, in some cases to love us too, but not always. So again, look at the relationships in your life and really ask, what was my soul contract with this person? What did I learn? What am I here to learn? And is it complete? If you ask yourself those questions, maybe there's some really deep learnings. We put ourselves out there for other people. We put other people first. I remember Sidra, my mentor, who's no longer in this realm, she's one of my guides. And we talk a bit about that on the episode on Monday too. But She asked me once, she's like, you have a lot of people in your life. Out of those people, how many of them are you in their top 3? How many of them in your top 5? I looked at her confused. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, out of the people, all the love that you have in your life and all the people, if those people had to list their top 3 people that they feel the most love for, or whatever, how you want to word it, or the top 5, how many people's list are you actually on? That was a really interesting time for me because, I mean, I have a big family. I have 4 brothers, 4 sisters, 10 nephews, 3 nieces. I have a lot of love around me. I'll have to admit, I feel very blessed with it. But at the same time, how many people am I in their top 3 was a really interesting and a deep. And as we go through this period of getting to know ourselves, asking ourselves these deep questions, really kind of is a really amazing thing to do. And this is, when I talk about all this self-care, understanding your soul contracts, all of that stuff, is really about helping you create space to grow, to really understand who you are. Creating space, creating that vacuum, letting go of the things that no longer serves you is so important right now. Because what it does, that vacuum, you're naturally asking the universe, your guys, to send you to new souls that are waiting to lift you up. Because again, the shift that we're going through from divine feminine to divine masculine, the masculine in us is struggling for identity and is going through an identity crisis. The feminineness is really finding our gifts and kind of starting to activate this. So it's like we're all in this internal turmoil. But asking those questions really start to help you to understand, and kind of understand and letting go of the things. And we're going through such a shift where this is what the planet shift's all about. Finding our feminine side, finding balance. Really kind of, and reflecting on what have you been through. But don't get lost in the past, right? The past is there to teach you, to expand you. But as I said earlier, what are the biggest painful experiences you've been through and how did it help you grow? Lots of people, New Year's and all that talk about, New Year's resolutions and things like that. I'm not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions because, how long do they last? But I am a huge fan of setting an intention. Intention is so important. Intention is, what's your intention for this coming period? Not just about the year. I mean, for me, kind of vibrational and new year starts more in spring. But sure, use the beginning of 2025. What's your intention for the year? I recorded an episode recently where we're talking about what's your word for the year. So pick a word for the year. But your intention is so important. It's just, I'll always say, a lot of people stress out on what's their purpose, what's their destiny. And I always say my purpose is anyone I connect with, leave them better than I found them. And that allows me to do so many things. So what makes you think you only have one purpose, one destiny? Why limit yourself? So set an intention. Ask yourself, what's my why? What drives me every morning? What excites me? Asking some of these deep questions and journaling about it really helps you to understand who you are. Get to know yourself, fall in love with yourself, have honest conversations with yourself. The other thing I feel that this shift really is about is shifting from the individual to community. I really do feel like this new space, this new energy, this new beginning is much more about community than individuals. The masculine is all about individuals. It's all about egos and leaders, and I'm not saying in the new energy, the new vibration, leadership's not important, but it's about a co-creation. It's about creating communities. So have you got a community around you that supports you, that lifts you up? You're a soul having a unique experience, so you're never going to find somebody who totally has been through the same experience as you, but you can find communities to hold your space, to allow you to speak your truth. So look for these communities. Ask for them, manifest them. The thing to always remember is everything in your external world is a result of something in your internal world. So if you don't like something about your external world, then you have the power of changing it. Because when I say that, a lot of people kind of get frustrated and say, well, hold on, I'm going through such a painful time. How can that be a result of something in my internal? I always challenge you and say, well, hold on. Are you doing the healing work? Are you doing the self-care? Are you doing all the things we talked about on this episode? And have you really sat there and what are you manifesting? What are you creating? Because whatever you focus on expands. And the beauty is, right? So something like that could trigger you, right? If everything in your external world is a result of something in your internal, you could get triggered by that. But it could also excite you because it means that you have the power to change. You have the power to change, shift things. And that comes from truly listening to you and letting go of your expectations. Look, I get through this episode. It's some words are easy and some, it's just, but this is a time to get excited. Your soul chose to be here. Your soul chose to be here. You are needed, you're wanted, and that comes through in every Akashic download, I'm sure. I don't always remember because it's very much a channeled experience when I open the records and channel the message for the month. But it really is about getting excited about what's ahead, embracing the newness of it, letting go of your expectations and get excited and know that you're in charge of your destiny. How much power is knowing that you're in charge of your destiny? That everything you're external is a result of something in your internal. And if you can just change one thing, I listed a lot of things today. If you try and change everything in your world, it's going to be like New Year's resolutions. Pick one or two things that resonate with you and start there. But then don't just stop there. Then after a period of time, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe even a few days, add another thing. But keep doing the things that are already working. So don't stop. What are you committing to do in this space on a daily basis? Like I said earlier, I have a beautiful mentorship program, which I love. We go deep on who you are. Actually, we did a whole episode of me and Stacey on a few weeks ago, but we go deep on who you are. We have weekly calls. We make sure that you have a home place to go deep on who you really are. We'll always check in with your four bodies, right? You have physical, mental, emotional, spiritual bodies, and it's a great way of gauging where you are. And so whether you work with me individually, with me and Stacey, go deep. I love it because I see people transform, and I see people transform in front of my eyes, and it's so beautiful. And I always say, anyone that works with me, whether it's a mentorship, it's a soul contract. That's another example of a soul contract. So if my voice resonates, then maybe we're meant to have a soul contract for you to listen to this podcast and for me to guide you that way. Or maybe we have a deeper soul contract where I'm meant to guide you in some kind, maybe through an Akashic record reading, maybe through Akashic training, or maybe even deeper, going through a 12-week program of mentorship. What does your heart tell you? Trust your heart. Whatever your heart tells you, it's guiding you. I love you guys so much. And I'm going to, as I said earlier, I'm going to finish with a quick grounding. So if you're in a position to, and you're not driving, then just be still. Ideally, close your eyes if you can. If you can't, keep doing what you're doing. If you're working, etc., just be as present as you can, but obviously concentrate if you need to. Just close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath in and a breath out. Take another really deep breath in and a breath out. And just take a moment to center yourself. Listen to your breathing. Connect to your heart. Connect to your soul. Know that you're needed, you're wanted, you're meant to be here. And this is your time. Accept that your soul chose to be here at this magical time when things are shifting. And from this space, I call in Gaia, I call in Mother Earth. Open your heart to truly receive the love of the Divine Mother. I ask Gaia to ground us, to feel her presence, to feel her energy, to feel her love. Allow yourself to feel that grounding energy. Know and accept that you're meant to be here. From here, I ask you to feel your connection to Source. to God, whatever you want to call it. Allow yourself to feel that connection. And from here, I call in your guides, your soul family, any ascended masters, any archangels, any high-level beings, any ancestors, any past lives that are here to support us. I ask you to form a circle around us. I ask you to magnify your energy, magnify your love. I ask us to open our hearts to feel that energy, feel that love. I ask for any messages from our guides to be sent with clarity. I ask us to be open to receive those messages in whichever form they come. And just take a moment just to feel that energy around you. What do you feel around you at this time? Be open to it. Maybe say out loud, what do you feel? Feel that energy, feel that vibration. Through this space, connect with each of your chakras. Ask for an upgrade for each chakra. Starting off at your crown, which is the top of your head. Your third eye, which is your forehead. I ask for a clearing for you to see the vision of who you are. From your third eye, we go to your throat. Clearing anything that's stopping you from speaking your truth. From here, I go to your heart. I ask for your heart to feel unconditional love like never before. I ask you to open your heart to truly be open to feeling magic like never before. From your heart, we go to your stomach, solar sacral base. So much change happens in this space. Solar sacral. Be present. What are you feeling in that space? If you're feeling uneasy there because you're going through a shift, accept it. Then connect with your base. Your base is so important. How do you feel about you? Where you're at? Connect to all your chakras. Connect to the rest of your arms, your feet, your legs, your arms, your hands, your fingers, your legs, your feet, your toes, every part of you. Allow yourself to be completely connected to the energy and the vibration around you. Knowing that things will never be the same. Accept that you're going through a shift. Choose to be present through this next phase. Embrace you, fall in love with you. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through this process. I truly hope you felt a deeper connection with your guides. If you're ready, just open your eyes. Be present. Thank you for listening to this episode. I'd love for some feedback on this episode or any episode. If there's anything you'd like us to do or like me to do differently, if there's any guests, or if you'd like to hear more from me just on my own, I'd love feedback. I get so much feedback, and I listen to it. I read every message. I respond to every message. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I truly hope you embrace you. You give yourself time. You're important, you needed. And I love you very, very, very much. I'm sending everyone so much love and light. Be present during this period. Be present. You know, I didn't talk much about it, but what did you experience through Christmas? It's such a period of, it's an emotional roller coaster. You learn so much if you're open to it. So as you're journaling, go back and what did you learn through this period? What triggered you? What was your lessons? The other thing I didn't talk about, which comes to mind now, is when you are triggered, it's an opportunity to heal. Get excited. If you're triggered by something, what it means is it's an opportunity for you to heal it. So sit with it and ask, when was the first time I felt this trigger? When was the first time I felt like this? Journal about it. You're receiving so much more information now than ever before. You all have gifts. And what I mean by you all have gifts is you can learn modalities like Akashic record reading, Reiki, and the rest of it. But know that you are the gift, your light, your vibration, your energy. Anyone who has you in their life, you're a blessing to them. Your energy when you go into a room shifts the energy of that room. So you are the gift, and accept you're needed, you're wanted. And you're going through a shift, and you're meant to do something that's never been done before, so do it. Take one step today to become your magical self. I'm so proud of every one of you. Sending you so much love and light, and bye for now.